My interview for a job that required a seasoned security specialist to help with a high-volume logistics operation was the one that most significantly altered the course of my life. As stated in the advertisement, we are looking for an experienced security specialist that has a background in danger assessment, tactical reaction, and dealing with unique scenarios. Having spent 15 years serving in Earth Special Forces, I was prepared for Tuesdays, which were the days when hostile takeovers of mining colonies on Luna would usually take place. It would have been better for me to begin with the last portion, Chloe. Instead of calling me by my given name, Max Murphy, people now call me Mayhem. This is a change from the previous practice. The reason for this is not that I purposefully generate difficulties, although I do, but rather that I am highly skilled at avoiding their occurrence. And someone who is well known for surviving nuclear warfare and reality television on a Class 12 death planet may learn a thing or two about the importance of security. Even more peculiar was the fact that the location of the interview seemed to be a vacant lot. There was a printout of quantum coordinates that pointed to. At one moment I was gazing into space, and then all of a sudden my senses went awry, and I found myself gazing at a large space station in the Kuiper Belt. It was decorated with red and white stripes, and it had actual sparkling lights, much like the North Pole. During the time when I was boarding my own shuttle to go to the coordinates, something went terribly wrong. The next morning we crossed into the North Earth and came to the coordinates. Something went terribly wrong. Because, well, credits are credits, and my retirement fund wasn't going to increase on its own, I got myself all dolled up, prepared my resume, and went out because, well, credits are credits. In the process of maneuvering my shuttle into the designated berth, I couldn't help but notice that there was a complete absence of security measures. These measures included scanners, detectors for weapons, methods of validating identity, and even the most fundamental check of ship registry, among other things. A swarm of miniature green aliens came in their place, their faces distorted into big smiles as they hurled dazzling candy canes at my ship. They were attempting to destroy my spacecraft. It seemed to be ice from beyond space. Please allow me to extend a warm welcome to you at IGD's. Docking Bay is the location that you should be in. The head of house chirped my communication system with a voice that was so cheery that it caused my teeth to hurt. Participated in docking operation together with everyone. The security protocols for the birthday party included one of the green aliens, who I later learned were known as Jovians, sneaking up to my airlock and tapping on it with a candy cane. This was done as part of the birthday party's security procedures. Hello, I'm going to presume that you're Max Murphy. Our group is really excited to finally meet you, I said. For my second purge, I sat at the kitchen table reading a blurry diary, in case the dogma failed, and finally moved into the nearer wall of the prison cell. I emerged from my bunker, armed to the teeth, and was immediately surrounded by what seemed to be a sugar-induced reworking of Santa's workshop. There was a certain kind of Jovians. Each of them wore a different twinkle sprang ahead of me, to put it in the most literal sense possible. I inquired of the enormous guy, who seemed to be pleased at the prospect of finally seeing you, but I was anxious about hearing his response. "Oh, Santa, I am really looking forward to discussing our little security issue," he said. Thinking he was talking about Santa Claus, I came to a complete halt. Twinkle then shifted her gaze to me, as if to convey the impression that I was the only one standing out. "Do you have a guess as to who is in charge of the Galactic Gift Delivery Service?" "Oh, my goodness. Our progress is slipping." And yes, I am researching. Because of the pressing nature of the situation, I quickly understood that I wasn't applying for any old security job. Rather, I was being enlisted to protect the galaxy's most important gift-giving enterprise. Their severe lack of even the most basic security measures indicated that they need immediate help. You might say this was the biggest hoax ever, or, It may have been the most interesting job interview I've ever had. I saw it as a huge opportunity to add something unique to what would otherwise be a common job. Warning, the interview room looked like a snow globe that had exploded. It wasn't a prank. Picture this: the headquarters of a tech firm, complete with cloud-like seats and holographic snowflakes dancing in the sky. Santa Claus, a massive, hulking bodybuilder with an obsessive preoccupation with sweets, flung open the door as I was ready to take my seat. As I would discover later, his beard shimmered with quantum entanglement, and he sported a futuristic costume that uncannily resembled the traditional red and white garb. Articles. I'll save you the explanation, but as he looked up at my resume, Santa's cheerful face changed. I was unaware that the space pirates were Girl Scouts when I made the assertion that you use nothing but a broken communicator and a bag of cheese puffs to bring down their whole organization. You also stopped the great Martian cookie heist of 2-1-5-0-7 all by yourself. Santa gave the go light. Hey, Max, I'm going to tell you straight up. We're in a sticky position that needs your unique qualifications. Their idea of a firewall was a wall of friendly fire elementals, who calmly asked intruders to turn around. This P said, twirling gracefully as our Masonic logo is truly seen. The love then said, "Who would want to throw a wrench into the Christmas spirit?" The following is an answer to the question, what happens if someone breaks the festive spirit? Therefore, when I mumbled something about taking notes, and your gift-wrapping AI, Harmony, danced around the question of its preservation network, functions on energy that is obtained from pure holiday spirit via our candy cane reactors, she said. Erica Tax. The cheerful exterior vanished as Santa ushered me into his office. In its place, I saw a familiar expression from my military days, that of a commander preparing to brief his troops on a suicide mission. The three cloud dancers exchanged perplexed glances. I gave the tactical display a quick look before shifting my attention back to the security measures that I had previously seen. "Excuse me, sir," I murmured, my voice trailing off. "With all due respect, your existing security could scarcely stop a determined child, much alone an armada of space pirates." It was a holographic display that revealed strange spacecraft movements, and his finger was aimed at it. Every single member of the pirates' fleet has been gathered together this time. Due to this particular reason, we depend on you, Max. Would you be able to guarantee that we would be ready for war by the time the big delivery arrives, which is 3 weeks away? My thoughts kept going back to the dance again. As soon as I walked out of Chief Murphy's office, I was able to hear the sounds of peace, love, and security vibrating across the galaxy. These sounds brought to mind all of the youngsters who were waiting for the arrival of the security team, the exposed systems, and the total absence of any authentic defensive mechanisms. For as long as I can remember, I've been fascinated by the sight of gingerbread men that have been armed with military hardware. I wanted to give Chief Murphy a fair notice that my tactics could surprise your present personnel. In spite of the fact that Santa's eyes gleamed with what seemed to be mischief, I am looking forward to it. In the midst of yet another joyful dance number, Harmony gets down to business. First, she is tasked with teaching the Sugar Plum Fairies how to conduct tactical operations. Second, she is tasked with finding a way to weaponize holiday cheer. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, she is tasked with explaining to a workshop full of peace-loving aliens why group hugs and cookies are not sufficient to solve every problem. My intuition told me that this work would put the mayhem in the name of Mayhem Murphy. Are you familiar with the experience of attempting to instruct combat operations to creatures that consider violence to be an unavoidable evil? Chief Murphy Flutter protested that we are channeling peaceful energy to disarm their negative emotions, but it is not possible to form a meditation circle in order to escape a plasma cannon. As a result, I was horrified to see a group of sugar plum fairies do exactly that in response to a mock security breach. I took a deep breath and asked Chief Murphy Flutter, "What is the first rule of Earth tactical operations?" When they heard my suggestion to install laser grids, a group of Jovian elves who possessed Thedes in theoretical joy physics stared at me as if I had asked that Christmas be postponed. The unconnected chief engineer, Tinkerbell, stated in a terrified tone, "Powered by Christmas happiness. Think of it as festive light displays. And the whole team moaned with dismay at the excruciatingly slow progress that was being made. The subsequent obstacle consisted of upgrading the defensive systems of the site. We were able to develop candy cane scanning arrays that were capable of detecting an aggressive thought at a distance of 50 paracs in a matter of days, as well as present wrapping robots that were outfitted with what I like to refer to as festive response protocols. The fact of the matter was that all we were doing was attempting to get the attention of two different engineers. If you convey the technology of alien planets using analogies from the Christmas season, it would seem that even the extraterrestrials who are most concerned with maintaining peace may be convinced. Two best friends meet outside the fridge for the first time, unfeeling guests. As the husband considers that his wife is in danger, I had a sudden realization when I realized that controlling Carol's voice may be considered a type of psychological warfare. A well-planned elf orchestra playing Deck the Halls in perfect harmony, replete with tinsel tripwires, is the single most effective way to ruin a pirate boarding party. I pray that everything goes smoothly. Once I learned about their area of expertise, my previous security detail provided me with a lot of useful information. Their interpretative dance techniques were perfect for covert operations. Who knew that jazz hands might be a symbol of something? The training of the Gingerbread Special Forces Unit was an impressive accomplishment, despite its name. Any person who believed that the cookies were a festive treat was deceived by the cookies, which were smart and devious intruders. Because their life was based on sugar, they were virtually completely impervious to the traditional scanning procedures. In addition to this, they had a remarkable ability to engage in fight in close quarters. Yet they required further training to overcome their predisposition to bite. I called their attention to the fact that our objective was to detain the pirates rather than to munch on them during one of our training sessions, and they replied correctly. During the second week, we converted Santa's workshop into a festive fortress, replete with motion sensors embedded in the Christmas lights, automated defensive turrets embedded in the Christmas trees, and multi-tools embedded in each candy cane. Despite the fact that it was a quantum encryption system that caused my brain to throb, the artificial intelligence that used to wrap presents now insisted on bows being placed on everything, even our military gear. What I affectionately referred to as the crown gem of our defensive system would be the system in effect that would recognize a terminal that was part of the Saint Protocol Strategic Automated Intelligence Network. A network of sensors that were shaped like Christmas lights watched the whole construction site. An amazing amount of effort had been put forth by the Jovian engineers in order to develop a system that was capable of identifying and following an illegal snowflake anywhere inside the organization. On the other hand, the most memorable moment of my professional life was when I was in charge of the newly formed emergency response team, and they observed a group of extraterrestrials who had previously been peaceful carry out a flawless breach and clear move to the tune of Silent Night. Despite the fact that they persisted on holding it, it was an emotional moment. My conviction that we had changed Santa's workshop into a cutting-edge security facility rather than a cosmic hippie commune began to grow in the last week before the anticipated assault. I began to feel positive that we had accomplished this transformation. Afterwards, while I was seeing our very first full-scale battle exercise, I caught Santa saying something about the cost of automobile insurance. At this moment, the site of Sugar Plum Fair is putting on its military gear and rehearsing coordinated striking patterns. I was in charge of the creation of gifts, not weapons, when all of a sudden, Flutter flew into my office with her wings fluttering in an anxious manner for no apparent reason. At the Krampus Collective, the long-range candy cane arrays had come early in order to retrieve something significant. "Chief, they were there." I gave a smile and replied, "Don't tamper with Christmas on my watch." After that, the bells started to chime all the way through as Flutter's operation took off, notably reduced resistance and defense mechanisms, cried Likoff. When it comes to security, it's strange because space pirates constantly expect them to play by the rules. But I have to confess that I never really received that message. Fleet belonging to the Krampus Collective. A shower of furious meteors on a ballet performance was reminiscent of the 12 highly armed spacecraft that descended from hyperspace like a shower of meteors. Their leader, who had reportedly conducted a raid on a Halloween store in order to get his attic, made a demand via all channels, requesting that Santa's workshop surrender their facilities or face violent The testing of our freshly improved systems was something that I was able to see from my vantage point in the command center. At the same time that you are standing at your stations and controlling battlefield communications with interpretive dance Flutter, you should keep an eye on them as they approach. Prepare strategies using candy canes. I shook my head to give the impression that the pirates were using a computer that was afraid of them. Beginning with the implementation of protocol, the first wave of pirates assaulted our outer fortifications like gingerbread men, notwithstanding the fact that some of them were not particularly tasteful. All of the boarding pods were attached to our hull in precisely the same location that we had anticipated they would be. Tinkerbell, who operates in the engineering department, said that they had already broken through the outer shell and the first security door. At the very moment that I was ready to smile and wave to the welcoming committee, the first gang of pirates broke through the entrance and entered what looked to be an undefended hallway. While leading the attack beyond the gift vaults, their leader, a guy with cybernetic antlers who seemed to be extremely ominous, actually chuckled out loud. As soon as that moment arrived, the floor collapsed. Following a period of 3 days during which they consumed experimental eggnog, the physics department was able to create quantum-enhanced friction-nullifying ice. All of the members of the pirate crew made their way straight to Corridor 2, where tinsel launchers were waiting for them on the ceiling. As the commander shouted, his tinsel cocoon was swiftly developing. I replied over the microphone, "Oh no, that's not a joke. What's happening?" I said. After hearing the words, "The joke is coming up on cue," the tactical gingerbread squad fled from their hiding places in the trench. During the time that we were dealing with the boarding parties, the flagship of the Krampus Collective moved into position in preparation for what they believed would be a crushing blow. A significant amount of energy was being accumulated in Love Pirouette, which was their primary weapon, and they were making hasty preparations to launch Perfect Initiate Sugar Plum Protocol. Are you familiar with the sight of a space pirate attempting to combat a cookie? Kielende. Duly. Yes, exactly. Absolutely funny. Imagine a troop of 12 sugar plum fairies, each of whom had received extensive training in the art of tactical operations, singing Caroleo in perfect harmony, while painstakingly destroying the ship's armament systems. They were able to teleport aboard the ship via the present delivery network, thanks to the tactical gear that the Sugar Plum fairies wore, which proved to be a vital asset when the pirates charged their main gun. The surveillance feed that they received from their bridge was priceless. Eventually, the pirates' ships were unable to escape from what we referred to as the snow globe, which was a sphere of confinement fields that were linked. In his command chair, which was decked up with festive ribbons, Admiral SN let out a piercing scream. His command chair was draped with ribbons commemorating the holiday season. We had disabled all of your defenses, or more accurately, You had disabled what we wanted you to see. What a Christmas surprise. At that same moment, the actual defensive grid went online, and every light in the station that seemed to be ornamental began to do its magic. As I looked over to the tactical display, which was the source of my greatest anxiety, I saw that the remaining pirates were engaged in a fierce battle, as they made their way along a corridor that was covered with weaponized wrapping paper. I offered them one more opportunity to surrender, and if they declined, I frowned and nodded. If they did not, I would notify the caroling squad over the command channel. I gave them one remaining chance to submit. Krampus Collective, you have 30 seconds to submit, or we will accept your surrender. Singered out all the whole through. If there is one thing that I have learned over my career, it is that offensive is sometimes better than defense. As an example, when that offense contains weaponized festive happiness, I couldn't help but grin as surrender signals lit up across the board. These pirates had made an effort to steal Christmas, and I had a surprise in store for them about what they would find. But the Gingerbread Special Forces Unit, often known as the G-Team, was sent after I issued the order to do so while we were taking stock of the situation. Admiral Snar, who had escaped during prisoner processing, had gathered a small group of his most loyal followers and had barricaded himself in the gift-wrapping station, yelling, "You'll never take us alive!" Sir Flood requested if we might construct a permit to censor him while he was hiding behind an automatic wrapping station. Snarl was drawn to a Peppermint Star tactical cookie that was hidden behind a stack of ribbons. The cookies slithered surreptitiously through the air vents, their forms fitting in with the festive decorations so that they were not easily seen. It was not known to the pirates that they were approaching, and I notified him over the intercom that they were just entering the area. Snarl was drawn to a Peppermint Star tactical cookie that was hidden behind the area. One unfortunate soul was cornered by Peace, Love, and Harmony, who subdued him with aggressive caroling therapy. However, SN would not be easily defeated. He brandished what appeared to be a candy cane but was actually a band weapon coming from the royal family. The cookie commanders quickly ensnared the pirates in a series of pinpoint strikes. Some of them were killed with candy cane bolos, while others were killed with tactical tinsel. As the Sugar Plum Fairy tactical team envisioned 22 battle-ready fairies descending in perfect line, they decided to launch Operation Silent Night. A quantum destabilizer, which was disguised as a Christmas goodie, emerged from the outer ring, snarling, and headed for the primary gift processing unit. If you were to fire a single shot from this point, your whole delivery schedule would be engulfed in quantum smoke. I emerged from behind a massive candy cane and yelled, "The joke's on you!" as the fairies got closer. Snile exclaimed, "This is impossible!" as they got closer. However, Flatter was faster with a technique that we had rehearsed for hours. He hoisted his quantum destabilizer, but Flatter succeeded. In a well-timed blow, she hit him. As the calculated dose of fairy dust, the special kind that we'd developed in the weapons lab, began to blink with cheerful lights, bringing the remaining members of the resistance together, I nodded to the waiting elf security team and said, "Just wait until you hear what we have planned for your rehabilitation." This made me laugh, because even the most hardened criminals bitter a smile that made me laugh out loud. But this just made I screamed out to the command center, informing them that all enemy troops had returned to their original positions. Additionally, we neutralized the quantum destabilized and secured the donation processing center of the organization. It is true that we transformed them into candy canes, sir. While I was looking about, I observed that 3 former pirates who had a strong desire for peace were mixing interpretive dancing into their protocols for processing prisoners. The authorities who were directing the galaxy's most distinctive anti-terrorist unit. No, I corrected her. We did it in style. At that very moment, Santa Claus appeared, took stock of the situation, and then proceeded to go into spasms of uncontrollable laughing. I couldn't help but agree with the sentiment that we had just rescued Christmas by employing weaponized holiday happiness and combat cookies. As I looked around, I saw the pirates dressed in tinsel, the gingerbread men standing erect, and the sugar plum fairies, who were still singing their fight theme song, while I was watching Admiral Snarl, who had cybernetic antlers that were fueled by pure holiday happiness, understand the spirit of Christmas by wrapping his 1,000th gift. I couldn't help but grin. These antlers were powered by pure holiday cheer. The idea that went through my head was, "Admiral, that is not how we do things here. The decision that you made to channel your evil genius into packaging design has resulted in a significant increase in your productivity." A few of the remaining campers underwent conversions that were comparable to those described above. Some of them became consultants for the security force, assisting in the identification of weaknesses from the viewpoint of a reformed pirate, while others joined the workshop. According to the findings, the abilities that are necessary for space piracy actually transfer fairly well to the practice of giving on a global scale. In order to facilitate the implementation of our new aggressive pacification policy, the Joy Department elevated logistics, peace, love, and harmony to the position of heads. Every single member of the security staff was given the directive to participate in training in interpretative dance fighting methods. The amount of demoralization that may be caused by losing against a perfect pirouette is startling. This recommendation was made for the Gingerbread Special Forces unit. However, it was necessary to reconstruct 50% of them, since they were very enthusiastic during the celebration of victory and attempted to give each other high fives. While Santa was moving a data pad across his desk, he made a statement that said, "I want to make your position permanent." The next week, when Santa was in his office, he seemed to be more strategic and less malaga. The title of this position is Chief Security Officer of Interstellar Gift Distribution Services. Take a peek at my title. Forgive me, but are you very certain about this? Techniques that I use are... In the first place, we broadened the scope of the procedures for the naughty list to include possible security risks. Now, if you are considering making problems, you will not only be deprived of the opportunity to get gifts, but you will also be accompanied by a member of our staff that is dedicated to enhancing the holiday atmosphere. Second, we put into action a mechanism that I like to refer to as our magical creatures driven by Christmas spirit. My initial reluctance to accept the role was finally overcome, and I eventually did so, if certain requirements are met. Yes, Morel replied. Even during calm hours, I am able to see Flut and her tactical unit rehearsing their frightening hover formations. This is very remarkable when one considers how powerful a reputation can be in today's world. The artificial intelligence that wraps gifts is adamant about including bows into our security system, and news swiftly travels across the criminal underworld of the galaxy. When a result, the Murphy procedure comes into play when you cope with Thanksgiving and Christmas. Despite this, I have come to terms with the fact that there is nothing that conveys a sense of seriousness, quite like a tactical assault force that is decked out in celebratory ribbons. From my perspective, it seems like my job description includes the responsibility of managing security for the galaxy's largest gift-giving enterprise. When everything is said and done, where else can one get the perfect opportunity to mix military strategy with holiday happiness while still being compensated to train battle cookies? The previous week I was able to overhear the rebuilt pirates instructing the elf engineering team in their old boarding strategies, which they did not utilize for anything other than defense. It was the strategic candy cane that came after it. It is important to keep in mind that there is a group of magical creatures who are commanded by a commander who is little mad. In the event that you ever contemplate making problems during the holiday season, There is now a standard issue launcher available to everyone. The security office receives visits from Santa Claus on occasion, and these trips often include cookies that were not scouted for special activities. We go over the procedures, talk about the plans, and every once in a while, we see the surveillance tape of the carol singers doing a scripted performance in which they beat Admiral Snab's men. It never fails to be entertaining. Keep off the bad list. Our rehabilitation via gift wrapping team is comprised of some pretty intense folks, including a welder who takes great pleasure in his profession. Do yourself a favor and keep off the bad list. As a standard practice, we conclude our concerts with cookies.